Captain Han stood on the bridge of the Haiti, his eyes fixed on the massive alien ship that hung in space before them. It was 3 times the size of his vessel and shaped like a silver leaf. The ship had appeared without warning at the edge of Earth's solar system 6 hours ago. Any response to our messages? Han asked. Communications specialist Song shook her head. Nothing yet, Captain. Han rubbed his chin. This was supposed to be a routine patrol mission near Neptune. Now his crew of 35 might be humanity's first contact with alien life. His palms felt sweaty. Captain, they're hailing us, Song said suddenly, her eyes wide. On screen, Han ordered. The main view screen flickered to life. A tall, thin being with pale blue skin and large dark eyes looked back at them. It had no hair and 6 fingers on each hand. Greetings, humans, the alien said in perfect Korean. I am Ambassador Zorak of the Galactic Alliance. We have been watching your world for some time. Han took a deep breath. I am Captain Han of Earth, vessel Haiti. How are you speaking our language? We have studied your broadcasts, Zorak replied. We represent 17 spacefaring species who share knowledge and resources. We wish to invite Earth to join us. 6 months later, the United Nations headquarters in Seoul buzzed with activity. Diplomat Kim walked alongside military advisor Park as they entered the grand meeting hall where representatives from all Earth nations had gathered. Do you trust them? Park asked quietly. Kim adjusted his tie. The Alliance has shared more technology in 6 months than we've developed in a century. Medical advances, clean energy, faster than light travel. What's not to trust? Park frowned. It seems too good to be true. No one gives so much without wanting something in return. Inside the hall, Ambassador Zorak and representatives from 3 other Alliance species waited. The meeting was to finalize Earth's membership in the Galactic Alliance. As Earth's leaders signed the agreement, cheers erupted around the world. Humanity was no longer alone in the universe, and their new friends promised a golden age of progress. 1 year later, Captain Han's new assignment was to command Earth's first faster-than-light vessel, also named Haiti. Built with Alliance technology but by human hands, it represented Earth's giant leap into the galactic community. Han walked through the ship's corridors, nodding to his crew. Communications specialist Song had requested to join his crew again, and he was glad to have her. Captain, Song called as he entered the bridge. I need to speak with you privately. In his ready room, Song looked nervous. Sir, I've detected strange communication patterns from the Alliance ships at the edge of our system. Strange how? Han asked. They're gathering in large numbers, but not reporting it to Earth authorities, Song explained. And I've intercepted encrypted transmissions. My translator program only caught fragments, but they mentioned something called the swarm repeatedly. Han frowned. Keep monitoring. Let me know what you find. 2 days later, Song came to him again, this time with Engineer Choi, a brilliant woman who had worked directly with Alliance engineers. Show him, Song urged. Choi displayed a star chart on Han's screen. These are Alliance ship movements over the past 6 months. They're systematically withdrawing from this entire sector of the galaxy, but slowly so we wouldn't notice. Han studied the pattern. They're pulling back, away from us? Yes, Song said, and I've decrypted more messages. This swarm is some kind of threat approaching our sector. The Alliance has known about it for decades. Han felt a chill run down his spine. We need to take this to the Security Council. These accusations are serious, Diplomat Kim said as he faced Captain Han across the conference table at UN headquarters. General Park sat silently, her face grim as she studied the evidence Han and his crew had compiled. Ambassador Zorak has always been forthcoming, Kim began. The door slid open and Song rushed in. Sorry I'm late, I have new information. She played a recording. Ambassador Zorak's voice was clear. The buffer zone strategy has worked before. Earth will buy us at least 6 months. Prepare the evacuation ships, but only for the 10% we agreed upon. The room fell silent. Call the ambassador, General Park ordered. Now. Ambassador Zorak stood before the emergency UN session, flanked by other Alliance representatives. The meeting was being broadcast to every screen on Earth. Yes, the Void Swarm is real, Zorak admitted. It is a collective entity that consumes all biological matter in its path. It cannot be reasoned with or stopped. And you knew this when you contacted us, Kim demanded. The Alliance has been retreating from the swarm for centuries, Zorak explained without shame. We offer newer member worlds the chance to save some of their population. 10% of Earth can be evacuated before the swarm arrives. The hall erupted in outrage. Captain Han stepped forward. You used us as a buffer zone, a speed bump to slow down this swarm while you escape. It is regrettable but necessary, Zorak replied. The swarm will reach Earth in 3 months. The Alliance ships can save 700 million humans. The rest will be lost. We trusted you, Kim said, his voice breaking. And now you must make a difficult choice, Zorak answered. Who will be saved? Who will be left behind? We need your answer within 1 week. As the session ended, Han pulled Song and Choi aside. I need you to get into the Alliance database. Find everything about this swarm. What are you planning, Captain? Choi asked. The Alliance has been running for centuries. Maybe that's why they haven't beaten this thing, Han replied. I want to know if anyone has ever tried fighting back. 3 days later, leaders from around the world gathered again. General Park presented the findings from Han's team. The swarm is not invincible, Park explained. It's a collective of nanomachines, with a hive mind structure. The Alliance has always chosen to run rather than fight. Engineer Choi stepped forward. Using the technology they've shared with us, I believe we can develop weapons that could disrupt the swarm's communication network. Are you suggesting we refuse evacuation? Diplomat Kim asked, shocked. I'm suggesting we stand and fight, General Park replied firmly. Humanity has faced extinction-level threats before, plagues, world wars, climate disaster. Each time we survived not by running but by standing together. Captain Han spoke next. The Alliance is already preparing to abandon us. I've confirmed they're withdrawing critical defense technologies we would need for evacuation. The debate raged for hours. Finally, a global vote was called. The question was simple, run or fight. By morning, the results were clear. 83% of Earth's population had voted to stay and fight. When Ambassador Zorak was informed of Earth's decision, the alien's large eyes blinked rapidly in what might have been surprise. This is unprecedented, Zorak said. No species has ever chosen to face the swarm. But the Alliance cannot support a doomed resistance. Our ships will depart in 24 hours. Those who wish to be evacuated must board immediately. After Zorak left, Han turned to his crew. We have work to do. Song, keep monitoring their communications. Choi, gather every engineer who understands their technology. What about the Alliance ships? Song asked. Han's expression hardened. Before they leave, we're going to borrow some of their technology, without asking. As night fell over Seoul, the massive Alliance ships began to rise from their docking stations around the world. Humanity had made its choice. When every other species fled, humanity would stand and fight. We have exactly 3 hours before the Alliance ships leave orbit, Captain Han said, looking at the small team gathered in the Hades meeting room. After that, we're on our own. Engineer Choi tapped her tablet screen. I've identified 3 Alliance vessels with the technical data we need. The problem is getting aboard. Leave that to me, Han replied. He turned to communications specialist Song. Can you create a distraction in their communication systems? Song nodded. I can make it look like they're getting emergency signals from their home worlds. It won't fool them for long, though. It doesn't need to, Han said. Just long enough for us to get in and out. As the team prepared on the ground below, the world's leaders faced their own challenges. The United Nations Emergency Council room was packed. General Park stood at the front, pointing to a large screen showing a simulation of the Void Swarm. Based on Alliance data we've accessed, the swarm moves like this, she explained. The screen showed a massive cloud of tiny dots flowing across star systems. It consumes all organic matter and converts it into more of itself. How do we fight? Something like that? Asked a council member. We have some advantages, Park replied. First, the swarm has never faced humans before. Second, we now have access to Alliance technology. Not all of it, Diplomat Kim interrupted. Most Alliance members have already left, taking their best tech with them. That's being addressed, Park said, thinking of Captain Han's mission. But we need to decide now. How do we organize a global defense? Military strategist Lee stood up. The traditional way nations have fought wars won't work here. We need a unified command structure. One army, one plan. Impossible, said another council member. Countries won't give up control of their military forces. They will if they want to survive, Lee replied calmly. The debate grew heated. Old rivalries and suspicions that had divided humans for centuries threatened to surface again. Diplomat Kim, who had once been the strongest supporter of the Alliance, suddenly slammed his hand on the table. The room fell silent. While we argue, the swarm gets closer, he said. I was wrong about the Alliance. I won't be wrong about this. We stand together or we die separately. One by one, the council members nodded in agreement. On the Alliance command ship, Captain Han moved quietly through the corridors. His team had split up to access different systems. Security alert in Section 4, came a voice over the ship's speakers. Song's distraction was working. Han reached the main data center. 2 Alliance guards lay unconscious at his feet. He had used stunners taken from the Hayday's weapons locker. The Alliance had provided them for self-defense. His hands moved quickly over the alien console. Thanks to Engineer Choi's training, he could read enough of the symbols to find what they needed. Captain, I'm in their propulsion systems. Choi's voice came through his earpiece. I've downloaded the schematics. I've got weapons data, another crew member reported. Han inserted a data crystal into the console. Downloading their swarm research now. Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the ship. Intruder alert all security teams to the data center. Time to go, Han ordered. Back to the shuttle now. The team ran through the corridors, encountering 3 Alliance security officers. A brief firefight with stunners left 2 humans and 1 alien unconscious. Leave them, Han ordered when his team wanted to carry their wounded. I'll get them myself. As Han lifted the 2 stunned humans, Ambassador Zorak appeared at the end of the corridor. Captain Han, Zorak said, you disappoint me. The feeling is mutual, Han replied. You cannot stop the swarm, Zorak said. Your species is doomed. Han smiled grimly. Maybe. But we'll find out for ourselves. He fired his stunner. Zorak dodged, with surprising speed. Your primitive weapons, Zorak began. Han fired again, this time hitting the wall panel behind Zorak. Sparks flew, and emergency doors slammed shut, separating them. Primitive, but effective, Han muttered as he carried his crew members to the shuttle. 3 days after the Alliance departed, the Global Defense Command Center was established in an underground facility near Seoul. Engineers from around the world worked frantically to understand the stolen Alliance technology. This data confirms what we suspected, Engineer Choi said, pointing to complex diagrams on the screen. The swarm uses quantum entanglement to communicate across vast distances. That's why it acts as a single organism. Can we disrupt it? General, Park asked. Theoretically, yes, Choi replied. But we need to build technology the Alliance never shared with us. In another section of the facility, military strategist Lee worked with international teams to develop battle plans. The swarm will arrive first at these points, Lee explained, highlighting several areas on a global map. Our orbital defenses need to be strongest here, here, and here. What about civilians? Diplomat Kim asked. He had taken on the role of coordinating the world's non-military resources. We need to move people away from likely landing zones, Lee said. And we need every factory on Earth producing weapons and supplies. Kim nodded. I've already spoken with world leaders. For the first time in human history, all borders are open. Resources are being shared. Lee looked surprised. How did you manage that? Nothing unites people like a common enemy, Kim replied. 2 months later, Captain Han stood on the bridge of the new Haydai. The ship had been rebuilt using Alliance technology, making it faster and stronger than before. "Captain, all systems are ready," Song reported from her console. Han looked at the view screen showing Earth below. Massive defense platforms orbited the planet, constructed in record time by a united human effort. "Begin test firing sequence," Han ordered. The ship's new weapons, designed by engineer Choi based on Alliance technology, powered up. Beams of energy shot toward a designated test area in the asteroid belt. "Direct hit, Captain," the weapons officer reported. "Disruption field functioning as designed." Han nodded. "Send the results to General Park, then prepare for patrol duty." As the Haiti moved into position, Han thought about what lay ahead. The swarm would arrive in less than a month. Humanity's preparations were impressive, but would they be enough? His console beeped. A message from Ground Command appeared on his screen. "Captain Han, we've detected something entering the solar system. It's moving faster than anything we've seen before." Han's heart raced. "On screen," he ordered. The view screen showed a small cloud of what looked like black dust moving past Pluto. "Analysis," Han asked. "It matches the swarm signatures from the Alliance data," Song replied, her voice steady despite the fear Han knew she must feel. "But it's just a small group, scouts maybe." Han took a deep breath. "Alert Ground Command. Tell them, the swarm is here." Across Earth, sirens began to sound. The moment humanity had been preparing for had arrived sooner than expected. The first test of their defenses was about to begin, and unlike the 17 species of the Galactic Alliance, humanity would not run. They would stand and fight. The swarm scouts had come and gone. They had probed Earth's outer defenses, lost 3 of their number to the new weapons, and retreated. But everyone knew they would return in force. In the underground research facility, engineer Choi hadn't slept in 36 hours. Her eyes burned as she studied the test results on her screen. "The disruption field works, but not well enough," she said to her team. The scouts adapted after the 3rd shot. A young engineer named Bay looked up from his workstation. "What if we change the frequency with each burst?" Choi shook her head. "They'd still adapt eventually. We need something they can't adapt to." She stood up and walked to the large window overlooking the main laboratory. Below, hundreds of scientists and engineers from every nation worked side by side. Some had been bitter enemies just months ago. Now they worked together to save their world. "The problem is," Choi said, thinking aloud, "quantum entanglement is hard to break. It's like trying to cut a connection that exists outside normal space." She stopped suddenly. "That's it. We don't try to break it. We join it." "What do you mean?" Bay asked. "If we can't break their network, we hack into it," Choi said, excitement in her voice. "We create our own quantum signal that matches theirs but carries a destructive pattern." Bay looked doubtful. "Like a computer virus?" "Exactly like a computer virus," Choi replied. "But for a quantum network." Captain Hans Haite patrolled the edge of the solar system. His ship was now one of 50 similar vessels built using the stolen Alliance plans. They formed humanity's first line of defense. "Captain, we're picking up unusual readings from Jupiter's moon," Song reported. Han moved to her station. "Show me." The screen displayed energy patterns around Europa. "It looks like mining activity," Song said. "But there are no human operations." "There." "The swarm?" Han asked. "No, the signature is different," Song replied. "But it's definitely not human." Han frowned. "Set a course for Europa. Maximum speed." The Haite accelerated toward Jupiter's moon. As they approached, they detected a ship unlike any they had seen before. "It's not Alliance," Han said, studying the strange vessel on the view screen. "Hail them." After several attempts, a response came. The view screen showed a reptilian face with 4 eyes. "This is Captain Han of Earth vessel Haite. Identify yourself." "I am Trader Zur," the alien replied in broken English. "Seeking resources." "Fleeing swarm." Han's eyes narrowed. "You're not with the Alliance?" "Alliance abandoned my people," Zur said bitterly. We seek new home. Heard humans fight swarm. How did you hear that? Han asked. News spreads. Many watch humans now. Alliance never stood against swarm before. Han considered this information. Dock with our ship, we need to talk. At the Global Defense Command Center, General Park reviewed the latest simulations with military strategist Lee. The orbital platforms will slow them down, Lee said. But ground defenses need to be stronger. Park nodded. We've distributed Choi's disruption weapons to key locations, but we need more. A communications officer interrupted them. General Captain Han is requesting an emergency meeting. He has a visitor. Minutes later, Han entered the command center with the reptilian, alien Zur. The room fell silent. This is Traitor Zur, Han explained. His people were Alliance members until they were abandoned as sacrifices to the swarm. Like us, Park said. Zur nodded his scaled head. Alliance runs for centuries, leaves many behind. My people almost gone now. Why come to Earth, Lee asked. To trade, Zur replied. Have technology, need resources. What kind of technology? Park asked. Zur touched a device on his wrist. A hologram appeared showing a ship design. Swarm Hunter, small ships that target swarm control nodes. Park and Lee exchanged looks. How effective are they? Park asked. Kill many swarm, but not enough, Zur admitted. Need better weapons. Like Choi's quantum virus, Han suggested. Park nodded slowly. A trade might be possible. Captain, take our guest to meet Engineer Choi. 1 month later, Earth looked very different. Cities had been fortified with new defenses. Massive energy shields based on combined human and Zur technology covered key areas. In orbit, hundreds of small fighter ships practiced attack formations. They were a mix of human design and Zur's swarm hunters, modified by Engineer Choi's team. In her lab, Choi showed Diplomat Kim the latest version of her quantum virus weapon. We call it the Void Disruptor, she explained. It doesn't just attack the swarm's network. It turns parts of the swarm against itself. Will it work? Kim asked. In simulations, yes, Choi replied. But the real test will come soon. Kim looked troubled. The latest scouts estimate the main swarm will arrive in 2 days. Then we're ready just in time, Choi said, trying to sound confident. There's something else, Kim said hesitantly. We've received a message from the Alliance. Choi looked surprised. What do they want? They're offering evacuation again. For our leaders and key scientists, Kim explained. They say they're impressed by our preparations but still believe the swarm cannot be defeated. Are you considering it? Choi asked carefully. Kim shook his head firmly. No. We made our decision. We stand together. On the bridge of the Haiti, Captain Han addressed his crew. The main swarm will reach our outer defenses in 6 hours, he said. All ships are to maintain position around Jupiter. We will engage according to General Park's strategy. He paused, looking at each crew member. The Alliance ran from this enemy for centuries. Other species were sacrificed to buy time. But today, humanity makes it stand. Song spoke from her communication station. Captain, we're receiving messages from dozens of ships entering the system. Swarm? Han asked sharply. No, Song replied, sounding confused. They appear to be from different alien species. They're requesting permission to join our defense. Han stared at the view screen as it showed vessels of various designs approaching Earth's defenses. Some were clearly built for war, while others looked like converted civilian ships. This is Captain Krell of the Duraxian Guard, came a voice over the comm. We heard humans plan to fight. We wish to stand with you. More messages followed from other ships. Species that had left or been abandoned by the Alliance now came to join Earth's defense. Looks like we're not standing alone after all, Han said, a small smile forming on his lips. The Haiti's sensors began to sound an alarm. At the edge of the solar system, a darkness was growing. The main body of the swarm had arrived. Humanity's moment of truth had come. The swarm darkened the sky above Earth. From the ground, it looked like a strange moving cloud. From space, it resembled a vast black ocean, flowing between the stars. In the Global Defense Command Center, General Park watched the main screen as the first wave of the swarm approached the orbital defense platforms. All stations commence firing, Park ordered. Around the Earth, massive energy cannons fired into space. Beams of light cut through the darkness, tearing holes in the swarm. But the holes closed quickly as the swarm reorganized itself. First, wave impact in 30 seconds, reported military strategist Lee. Park turned to the representatives of the alien ships that had joined Earth's defense. Captain Krell, your ships have fought the swarm before. Any advice? The tall, gray-skinned Duraxian nodded. The swarm learns quickly. Do not use the same attack twice. Noted, Park replied. Zur, position your swarm hunters behind our main defense line. Target any breakthrough points. The reptilian trader bowed his scaled head. As agreed. The first wave hit the orbital platforms. On the screens, Park watched as the black mass surrounded the human structures. At first, the platform's shields held. Then, one by one, they began to fail. Platform 3 is down, Lee reported. 4 and 7 are failing. Deploy the second line of defense, Park ordered. 1,000 small fighter ships moved into position, led by Captain Han in the HFY. They fired precise beams at the swarm, using Engineer Choi's void disruptors for the first time in actual combat. It's working, Lee said, excitement in his voice. The swarm is breaking apart where the disruptors hit. But the victory was short-lived. The swarm adapted, changing its pattern to avoid the worst effects of the disruptors. They're learning, Park said grimly. Time for Phase 2. In orbit, Captain Han watched as parts of the swarm broke through their defenses and headed toward Earth. All ships, form attack pattern Delta, Han ordered. Focus on the larger clusters. The human and alien ships moved in perfect coordination, targeting the largest concentrations of the swarm. On the Hades bridge, communications specialist Song worked frantically at her console. Captain, I'm detecting a pattern in the swarm's movements, she reported. There's a rhythm to their attacks, like a heartbeat. Han moved to her station. Show me. Song displayed a series of waves on her screen. See here? The swarm pulses every 92 seconds. And look at this energy. Reading, it spikes just before each pulse. Han's eyes widened. They're receiving commands. Can you trace the source? Song's fingers flew over her console. It's coming from there. She pointed to a section of the swarm that hung back from the main attack. Han immediately opened a channel to ground control. General Park, we found something. The swarm has a command center. In her laboratory beneath Seoul, Engineer Choi received the data from the Haete. This changes everything, she said to her team. The swarm isn't just a hive mind. It has a central controller. Beside her, Zur studied the readings. Like queen, insect. Kill queen, swarm weakens. Exactly, Choi agreed. But our current disruptors aren't strong enough to reach the command center. She turned to her assistant, Bay. We need to modify the quantum frequency. And we need a delivery system that can penetrate deep into the swarm. Bay looked troubled. That would mean a suicide mission, Choi finished for him. One ship would have to fly into the heart of the swarm. On the surface of Earth, the first swarm entities broke through the atmosphere. They resembled metallic insects, each about the size of a large dog. Where they landed, they began to consume everything organic, growing and multiplying. Defense forces fired void disruptors from ground positions. The weapons worked well at first, causing the swarm entities to turn on each other. But as in space, the swarm quickly adapted. We're losing ground in sectors 4 and 6, Lee reported to General Park. Redirect air support to those sectors, Park ordered. And get me an update from Choi. We need those modified disruptors now. A communication officer handed Park a tablet. Update from Captain Han, General. Engineer Choi has a plan to target the swarm's command center, but it requires a direct approach. Park read the details and her face grew grim. Put me through to the Haiti. Absolutely not, General Park said firmly from the view screen on the Hades bridge. We need you coordinating the space defense, Captain. With respect, General, my ship is the only one with the right modifications to carry the enhanced disruptor, Han replied. Engineer Choi confirmed it. We can modify another ship, Park argued. There's no time, Han said. The swarm is breaking through, faster than we can stop them. If we don't take out that command center now, we lose everything. After a long pause, Park nodded. Permission granted, Captain. Good luck. Han turned to his crew. I need volunteers only for this mission. Anyone who wishes to stay behind will be transferred to other ships. Not a single crew member moved. It has been an honor serving with all of you, Han said, his voice thick with emotion. The HFY broke from the defense line and accelerated toward the heart of the swarm. Around it, the black mass of nanomachines seemed to sense the danger and moved to intercept. Evasive maneuvers, Han ordered. All power to forward shields. The ship twisted and turned, avoiding the worst concentrations of the swarm. Behind it, a squadron of Zur's swarm hunters provided cover, sacrificing themselves one by one to clear a path. We're approaching the command center, Song reported. The enhanced disruptor is charged and ready. Target locked, the weapons officer added. Han took a deep breath. Begin final approach. On my mark, fire the disruptor and overload the engines. The HFY plunged deeper into the swarm. Alarms blared as the shields began to fail. Black tendrils of nanomachines seeped through the hull. Now, Han shouted. The enhanced void disruptor fired, a beam of energy unlike anything seen before. It struck the command center of the swarm, a darker mass within the black cloud. Simultaneously, the HFY's engines began their overload sequence. The resulting explosion was visible from Earth's surface. In the command center, silence fell as they watched the explosion fade from their screens. The HFY? Park asked quietly. Gone, Lee replied. Along with all hands? And the swarm? Lee studied his readings. The command center has been destroyed. The swarm entities they're turning on each other. Without central coordination, they're attacking anything that moves, including themselves. Around the world, the same thing was happening. The swarm, now without direction, began to consume itself. The remaining human and alien ships moved in, using standard weapons to finish off the confused remnants. 3 days later, the last of the swarm had been destroyed. Earth had survived, though at great cost. Millions had died, and vast areas were devastated. In Seoul, a memorial service was held for the crew of the HFY. Diplomat Kim addressed the gathered crowd and the billions watching worldwide. When every other species fled, humanity stood and fought, Kim said. And we were not alone at the end. Captain Han and his crew gave their lives not just for Earth, but for all species threatened by the swarm. He turned to where Captain Krell, Zur, and representatives of other alien species stood. Today we begin a new alliance, Kim continued. Not one built on running and sacrifice, but on standing together. The swarm is defeated, and the galaxy will know that it was here, on Earth, that the turning point came. In orbit above Earth, ships from a dozen different species formed an honor guard. As one, they fired beams of light into space, toward where the HFY had made its final stand. The age of running was over. The age of humanity had begun.